Star Trek Paperback Unboxing, Part 3. Hi, I'm Gary Lovisi, and this time we're going to take another look, yet another look, at a multitudinous collection of Star Trek paperbacks from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s that I have in these boxes. I don't know what's in here. They're all out of order, not in order, in any particular order. But we're just going to look through, and I'm just going to pull out what we have and see what we have. So, no particular order. There's a lot of different series, not only Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and others. So here's Star Trek The Next Generation, Dark Mirror. Star Trek Captain's Blood by William Shatner. But unlike all the William Shatner books, he did not really actually write them. So this is...
That's not unlike all the others. It's just like all the others.
Just like all the others, yes. Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. So they probably wrote the actual book. The Starship Trap by Mel Gilden is number 64 in the series. Star Trek The Lost Years by J.M. Dillard. The missing chapter of the Star Trek history is revealed at last. This might be one that I showed in the previous video, because I don't know if some of these are dupes or not. They may be. There's so many of them. This is Star Trek 11, the original series adapted by James Blish, where he adapted the original TV series. In this, there's interesting. It's a 3-page preface by James Blish about how he came to write these books, and his involvement with Star Trek, and the episodes that they have in this one are the What Are Little Girls Made Of, The Squire of Gothos, Wink of an Eye, Bread and Circuses, Day of the Dove, and Plato's Stepchildren. And this is Star Trek. This is number 11. This is the first printing from 1975. That's the first edition of that. More. Star Trek The Next Generation, Strike Zone by Peter David. Star Trek The Next Generation 4, Survivors by Gene Laura. Star Trek The Next Generation, At Last the Generations Meet, based on a 2-part television episode. This was the teleplay was turned into a novel by Jerry Taylor. This is a 2-part Star Trek The Next Generation book. Next Generation, The Dominion War, number 1. This is a 1 of 4. There's a lot of subsets and series within the series. So this is the Dominion War. This is book 1, and it's 1 of 4, and it has a tip-in of Jean-Luc Picard. These are all pretty much pocket books. Next Generation again. Descent. This is based on Descent Part 1, a story by Jerry Taylor, and a teleplay by Ronald D. Moore. So this is also based on a Star Trek The Next Generation episode, or 2 episodes actually. Day of Honor, book 4 of 4, Star Trek Treaties Law. This is book 4 of 4. Star Trek Recovery, J.M. Dillard. Final book in the best-selling Lost Years saga. This is number 73 from Pocket Books. This looks familiar. This is the one with the McCoy with the beard. We showed that the last time. So that was in That's probably a dupe. I have to go through all of these. I have a lot of these.
But that's what you were doing now.
Well, I have to actually, once I do the video, I'm going to put them in order and go through them and put them on the shelf, I think. But if I have room, but I don't know if I have room on the shelf. Probably not. Star Trek The Next Generation, Guises of the Mind. This is number 27. Next Generation, War Drums. Next Generation, Spartacus, with Data on the cover. Another one, Perchance to Dream, by Howard Weinstein. Weinstein wrote a bunch of the earlier Star Trek books. He wrote some pretty good ones. There's another one by him, Next Generation, Exiles. He wrote some pretty good ones in the series. Now I'm going to just move these out of the way and go through a few more. Star Trek My Brother's Keeper. This is Constitution series, or trilogy, I guess you'd say. It's book 2 of 3. Two friends are divided by the question of life or death. So I guess that's a young Kirk, and that's his friend Gary, who was in one of the earliest episodes, and he had to kill him. So this is book 2 of 3. Next Generation, Blaze of Glory, by Simon Hawke. Simon Hawke, I think, is a pseudonym for Nicholas Yermanikov. Next Generation, Grounded, by David Bischoff. This is number 25 in the series. And number 28 in the series, Here There Be Dragons. This is by John Peel. This is a book in here that has nothing to do with anything, so I'm not going to...
Well, you could show it to us.
No, actually, no, wait a minute. No, it's from 1993. It's by John DeChancy. It's the Crouton Interface. And actually, it's a Star Trek satire, which I had forgotten about. This is Star Trek satire. And the next one is The Lost Era, Well of Souls, Star Trek, more modern edition, modern cover. Star Trek, Doctor's Orders. It's Spock and McCoy. Time Trap by David Dworkin. This is number 40. This was good. David Dworkin is a really good science fiction writer. Really good writer. Next box is box 2. The Eyes of the Beholders. Next Generation, number 13. Ghost Walker by Barbara Hambly. Star Trek number 53, original series by Pocket. Star Trek Trader Wins by L.A. Graff. The incredible third book in the best-selling Lost Years saga. So this is the third book in that series. So many mini-series and other series in these. It's incredible. A Day of Honor, which we saw before. This is book 4 of 4. Treaties War. This might be a might be a duplicate somewhere. But next one is Deep Space Nine, Emissary. This is the first one in the series, of the Deep Space Nine series. And I'll hold this out on the side because that might be a dupe. Star Trek New Frontier, After the Fall by Peter David. Next Generation, 17. Boogeymen by Mel Gilden. Next Generation, 25. Grounded by David Bischoff. Next Generation Descent. It doesn't have a number. It's by Diane Carey.
Not for nothing, but these all look like the same book.
They all look very similar with the big heads, cover images. Star Trek Next Generation Relics by Jan Michael Friedman, and it's based on one of the television episodes. A lot of these Next Generation are based on television episodes. Others are original novels, not novelizations of episodes. So now I'm going to put these on the side. And I'm going to pull out some more, because it never ends. The Best of Trek. So Trek was a fan magazine, fanzine for Star Trek fans. And I remember that quite well in the days in the 70s. This is the Best of Trek, 1985, stories and articles. This is Best of Trek 9. This is a Signet book. This is Best of Trek 11. This is Star Trek Next Generation Unification. Unfortunately, the bag is get this out of the bag because you can't even see it. The whole thing is a mess. Here we go. The book is beautiful. It's Unification. Star Trek The Badlands, book 1 of 2 by Susan Wright. Another series, mini-series within the series. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, number 2, The Siege. That's by Peter David. That's with the space station. That's a pretty good series. Deep Space Nine, Emissary, number 1. I think this one. Yes. So we got 2 of these. Deep Space Nine. 2 of them. So I'm going to put those over here. Next one is Next Generation, number 1, Ghost Ship. Number 1, Next Generation. Next Generation, Q-in-Law by Peter David. Q is one of the most interesting characters. Q and the Borg in Next Generation, which I really like. I think they were original characters. I think they were much better. I wasn't crazy about Geordi with the thing over his eyes. I wasn't crazy about Data. But Q was a very, very interesting character with a lot of potential, and some of it was realized in the series. And the Borg, of course, were actually great. Star Trek The Next Generation Spartacus, which is one that we have a dupe already of. How did this get in here? A Guide to the Star Wars Universe, illustrated throughout.
Star Trek, Star Wars, fuck that.
This is good. The Star Wars, how did the Star Wars book get in with my Star Trek book? See,
there might be a link somewhere.
There's a link somewhere, certainly.
You
and
just
I do
don't
have
remember it.
And I do have my Star Wars books. So, I did years and years ago, had all of these in order on shelves, and then they were moved, and they were moved again, and they were put in boxes, and the boxes were moved, and it's like, so now it's like I'm rediscovering a lot of these. It's like I should call this Star Trek Rediscovery. In fact, it's Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country, should be The Undiscovered Books. And here's another Best of Trek. This is number 8 in that series. Next one is Star Trek The Next Generation Vendetta, and it's a giant novel. It's a big, thick novel, and it even tells you it's a giant novel. Star Trek The Ashes of Eden, a novel by William Shatner. I want to see who wrote this, if it says in here. Yes, it says it's dedicated to Judy and Gar Reeves Stevens. So
who gets the royalty checks when a book is ghostwritten?
I think it's divided. Star Trek The Next Generation, and this is Invasion. It's, I guess it's the Soldiers of Fear, book 2 in the Soldiers of Fear Invasion series. There's so many series, and they're separate. They're not numbered. So this is Star Trek The Next Generation, but it's not in that Next Generation numbered series. So they're all like, all over the place. Well, here we go with another box. The third box. So you're probably very happy that this is finally over. Next Generation number 4, Survivors. Day of Honor, Star Trek, Voyager, Klingon Soul. And this is book 3 of 4. So I probably have all 4 of these in this series. Next Generation 11, Gulliver's Fugitives. And it's like actually almost like a different kind of cover because there's actually other things going on there. This is the first edition of Susan Sackett's Letters to Star Trek, Valentine book from 1977. A couple of these things. The Star Trek Bartender's Guide from 1976 is here, and Trek or Treat. Those little Star Trek has photos inside and stuff, and silly, stupid jokes. Really, it's got Mr. Spock on the cover, so it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna put these on the side for now, and then go through the rest of these. Star Trek Errand of Fury, Book 1, Seeds of Rage. I don't know what, that's another series. Book 1 of I don't know what. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Volume 3, The Worlds of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And I guess this has 2 books, The Dominion and Ferenginar. That's the Dominion and the Ferengi. Star Trek Engines of Destiny by Gene DeWeiss. And I'm going to move these over here. There's so much Star Trek, but I love Star Trek. Star Trek Next Generation. This is the Dominion War, book 3 of 4. I didn't even know they had a Dominion War. Star Trek's Ex Machina by Christopher Bennett. Star Trek Book 3, Enemy Territory. Now we got these. 4, 5. These unauthorized parodies of Star Trek. These were kind of cute. They're funny. They were like for young adults, younger readers, but they're parodies and satires of Star Trek, and they have some cute cover art. So this is the generation gap. I think this is they were not authorized. St. Martin's Press paperbacks. That's probably the first one. They're from around early 90s. This is number 4, Live Long and Profit. And this is number 5, The Undiscovered Nursing Home, which is a little apropos when you look at the later movies and stuff. You see when everybody got so old. Star Trek Enterprise, The First Adventure. Now, the untold story of Captain Kirk's first mission, which is something that probably I should read. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home by Vonda McIntyre. Vonda McIntyre was a really good science fiction writer. This is, of course, the novelization of the movie, the 4th movie. Next one is The Unauthorized History of Star Trek, The Unauthorized History of Trek, the inspiring story of the men and women who dared to go where no TV series has gone before by by my friend James Van Heist. James Van Heist wrote this. He's a good writer. Does a lot of nice stuff. And the next one is Starlog Science Fiction Universe, Star Trek's greatest guest stars, from the pages of Starlog magazine. All Star Trek stuff. Star Trek The Next Generation, number 20, Spartacus. Again, yet again. Star Trek Home is the Hunter. This is number 52. And Star Trek New Frontier, A New Ship, A New Crew, A New Mission by Peter David. This is book 1. Star Trek Next Generation Foreign Foes. This is number 31 in the series. Star Trek Next Generation number 45, Intellivore. Star Trek Next Generation Here There Be Dragons by John Peel.
That before.
Is a dupe somewhere. Yeah. I'll put that on the side. And the last one, thank God, in this series for today, celebrating 40 years of Star Trek, Crucible Spock, The Fire and the Rose by David R. George. Nice Spock cover. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this look at Star Trek books, paperbacks from the, what now is the vintage era. I guess it's from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Some of these are pretty scarce. Some of them are good reads. Some of them aren't. It's a real mix-up as far as the quality. There's some very good books in here in these series. There's also some that are scarce, collectible, more than you would think, and a lot of good stuff. And I hope you enjoyed looking at it. And I have two more videos to go.
Thanks.
I want to go through them all, and I think I hope if you. To me, I'm a Star Trek fan, but I just like to see the books. And there's so many, and all of these, like, what really annoys me, though, is like the sub-series within the series. So there's like the original series, Deep Space Nine, and Next Generation especially, have so many sub-series and subsets within the overall series. I mean, it's like incredible. Keeping track of it all has to be like, that's why when I wanted to do my bibliography, I had all the data and all the information up until like the 1980s, and then it was just so much I couldn't keep track of it, and it was just like, I says, this is impossible, But we're showing it to you all now. I hope you enjoy looking at these, and maybe you'll see something that you want to get, or something that you didn't know about. And I think that's the important thing, to get the information out there, and the joy of looking at enjoying Star Trek, and which I certainly do enjoy, and I hope you do too. So with that, I'm going to wish you all the best. Give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.